Welcome to the H series of webinars. This webinar series is aimed at new and aspiring sheep producers to give them a step up into the Queensland sheep industry. This webinar is part 3 of the series and is titled Handling Foundations, exploring the basics of working sheep efficiently and effectively with an emphasis on yard work. This webinar was delivered by renowned stock handler and dog trainer Neil McDonald on the 15th of June 2020. This is clip 5 of 8 and covers how to set yourself up for better sheep behaviour in the yards.
And this is where we finish, is when the operator can be at the back of the mob with the dogs pushing the mob forward. But this is not a good way to start the handling of livestock. It's very advisable to have young dogs and staff bring stock to you. So you are a central reference point up the front. So therefore the sheep have got something to follow and the dogs have got something to tuck into. And by working that way, eventually the dogs learn to tuck livestock in and livestock learn to be tucked in. And when livestock learn to be tucked in, you don't get that rogue element where there's always one looking to cut for it. You don't have sheep running where they're puffed out and then you've got to go back with the ute and pick them up. So this is the final finished product of where we're heading, is what we call droving, or someone at the back of the mob with the dogs at the back of the mob. But I believe that's very detrimental for the starting of pups. And it's probably not a good thing for learner people, and it's certainly not the way to get sheep like this. So that's the finished result, but we've got to come at it from, like most things in life, we've got to come at it from another angle. What we've got here is you won't have trouble if you can get your livestock to walk straight. We've mentioned the entrance gate. Now the thing about going around livestock in a curve, when you go around livestock in a curve, that's what predators do. They go around say the antelope or the wild sheep, whatever the case may be. And so the clever sheep does a little circle. The not so clever sheep does a circle around that. And the dumber sheep is on the outside of this spinning ringing. So it's a bit like it'd be good fun being the sheep in the middle, but it wouldn't be too much fun on the sheep on the outside. I think those wind turbines, you see their fan going around ever so slow. I'm actually told the tip of that does 200k an hour if you study that sometime. And I think if you get a mob of sheep or cattle circling, the ones on the outside are doing 200k an hour. So they don't last long. So when the wolves get them down and kill them, the ones in the middle of the mob go, phew, we got away with that. So it's a self-survival mechanism of livestock, is that when they see someone going around them, they try to save themselves by getting into a scrum. There's one thing we love doing as people is going around livestock, and there's one thing livestock love doing is going around us. So if we put a man on the moon or can work one of these things on a computer or mobile phone, we must be fairly advanced. So that's why we've got to work out the way to get livestock cooperative is to stop encircling them, but to do parallel lines along the edge and build corridors for them to walk straight within. They're very, very conscious of where you point your toes, your eyes, your demeanour. They're all things that need to be checked when you're working livestock. Probably the other thing is these sheep, I think, if they're in a high-rise building and it caught on fire, I think they'd all get out alive. Because it's taught to kids at school classes. You have a fire drill that when the fire bell goes, you all get in order and you come out and no one have to jump out a window and no one gets turkey trampled. But unfortunately, a lot of people's sheep don't act as if there's a fire drill. It's a mad panic where sometimes they're getting smothered in gateways. That when there's a little bit of pressure, some sheep can't think under pressure and they panic. And that's when you can get sheep colliding with the back fence, or they can be especially good at taking our legs out from underneath us. And that's when you hear the ambulance thing again. So these are all things that we've got to be conscious of. When people talk about stock handling courses, they normally say, yeah, that's where you do flight zone. Well, yes, you do. And flight zone is those dogs are probably just on it now. You can get technical. There's an awareness zone and there's a zone of influence. But a flight zone is the spot where a person or a dog walks in on the livestock and they can get a shift. If you don't get near that flight zone, they go soggy and they don't move. And if you get inside it, that's where you can have your split up. So that's definitely the flight zone there. The next thing people say, oh, to work livestock, it's all to do with pressure and relief, pressure and relief. Well, I think that's where the big trip up is. People have forgotten one word. What it is, to get those sheep through that gate, these dogs have to apply pressure, which is narrowing the flight zone. So they've got to come in, but then they've got to get the sheep to move before they back off. Same as a person. If a person walks in on a mob of sheep and the sheep move, then they can back off. But too many people try to kid glove livestock and they try to be nice and polite to them. They walk in and say, here, darlings, move, 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 and then they back off. Well, that's only teaching livestock to be stubborn and not move. So we've got to make sure that I believe, we've got the word pressure, response, and relief. And probably the other thing we need, another words we need describing livestock, is you've got to have good movement. You can tell, like I reckon it's when you're playing pool, when you play the shot, you know whether you've goofed it up or not. And sometimes with a mob of livestock, you can be heading towards the yards and you go, oh, this doesn't feel right. And so what you need to do is take the sheep back, turn them around and get them walking forward like these sheep are here and have good movement in your mob, because if you've got good movement, they'll go down the draft, up the race, whatever the case may be.
Thank you for watching this short clip. For more information, please visit www.leadingsheep.com.au.